why are non-POCs so uncomfortable with talking about race and racism?
Yep.
Well, I think it's because they don't want to come off as looking stupid. That's a lot of the times that the situations I've been in, they want to talk about it, but they're so scared to be labeled as racist just because of their ignorance, because of things they just don't know. And I'm like, okay, that's cute that you feel uncomfortable, but I feel uncomfortable going through racial discrimination, 28 years of my life, but okay.
I'm okay with it.
Right?
I settled it.
I'm like, I'm uncomfortable with that too, but that's something like whether I like to or not, I got to deal with that because it's generational. This is what this country was built upon. And so
The facts.
yeah, and so like I personally feel like that's why they're uncomfortable. Like, well, I don't know how to go around it because they want to tiptoe. I don't know if this black person will get mad because I got this question. No, just forget all that. I've had that happen a lot. And they're like, well, if I say this, do I come off as racist?
I feel like, step one is don't ask anybody who's not like a close friend of yours questions. Like, how many random white people do you have in the middle of a conversation where it's the first time you met them? Just be like, well, let me ask you. And I'm just like, or getting back to the word but, which is out of my freaking vocabulary because nothing good ever comes out. I'm not racist, but can I touch your hair?
No!
But it's that like I guess it's that lack of context, and also take a moment to check your privilege before you speak.
Yes.
Like if you're asking me because you feel you have the right to ask me, that's a whole nother conversation on top of
a lot of people don't even recognize that they have privilege.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Seriously.
And what I see for the most part is because of since ever the public education system and the way kids are taught at home, et cetera, and the way churches teach white children, they have a white history and they talk about white history, and so they inherently know that they're the folks in power, and that's what they believe, that it's just the way they think things are. So people today kind of almost have this like cognitive dissonance or this dissociation. Well, those weren't my ancestors. Well, I didn't own slaves. Well, no, I didn't do all those things. Well, it's not my fault that my family made their money. They want to separate themselves from the history that they can inherently feel is incredibly problematic, but they also haven't done the work to educate themselves on the problematic parts.
Absolutely, and the problem is they're so uncomfortable because if you talk about it, that means you realize there's a problem, and that means you have to acknowledge that you have a privilege and you have certain prejudices, and you have to face that.
Well, it's why
at one point,
it's why I always acknowledge people on the side of the road that are busking, asking for money. I always look them in the eye, give them a wave. Like I don't always give them money, but I always acknowledge that they're people. I always acknowledge them. Because then it's not, well, I don't know how do I help? I don't know, that guy asked for help like 5 minutes ago. Could have used $5 smack. I didn't have smack. But you gotta, you have to see the problem. And once you do, you can't go back on it. And I guess, you know what? Not fair, because one of the high tenets of white privilege is you can always go back on it.
Yeah.
Like you can always be like, woo, glad we built 2 houses in Haiti. Glad we elected that guy.
What was it, Zuckerberg that put a couple houses in Hawaii?
Huh?
Was it Zuckerberg that got a house in Hawaii? Anyway, back to the topic.
I think that people are going to feel uncomfortable no matter what, especially people who know that they have a history of being the oppressors, because they don't want to acknowledge that even if they don't feel they're the ones that are doing it, it happened along their history at some point. And you're absolutely right, because I noticed that I don't do it. I don't acknowledge people, on the side of the road asking for help or anything like that, just because I don't know why. I don't. I mean, maybe I feel uncomfortable or whatever, especially when it's a veteran saying, hey, I'm a homeless vet, I need money or something. So I mean, like, I know that I do it, and I know that I need to fix the way that I handle that. But I'm always that person that wants to talk about diversity. I want to talk about the differences between people, and I feel like, you know, people who are usually the bullies don't ever want to address that they were, or at some point will be, and not know that they are.
It's always easier to stay inside your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Than to get
And-
outside.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's nothing that we'll experience, but how fucked up would it be to find out generations later that everything that you have been taught through your lineage and everything was fucking wrong?
Yeah.
Like not that
Or hurt
but-
entire
but yeah, not that you were lied to,
societies.
because I feel like we were lied to. We were told like our history was marginalized and we're having to hidden figures our way back into it. But not that they were lied to, but that it was toned down for an easier package. Like, how hard of a pill does that actually have to be to swallow? Like, I've seen it ruin people. I've seen it ruin perfectly good people that wanted to do good. Like, to just suddenly be like, I have a friend, he's runs social media management company out of Portland, and he was asking me a lot of questions about like, what do you like, trying to address his isms and things like that. And I was like, you know what, take the afternoon, research the city you live in, research the incredibly dark past and recent past of the city you live in. And he got back to me like 3 days later. He's like, I can't raise my kid here. I'm like, no. I'm not telling you to move. Like, overreactions are great. Like, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? Where have white people not fucked this up? Like, but and he was just like, because he just like not having to look at that side of it would be really nice. And it's a lot of people like when I talk about white privilege, I'm like, I'm truly envious. Like, how great would be to just open your door every morning and see a world that was made for you, and then never having to ask why it was made that way. Because that's the system as it was set up. It was dark and dirty, but set up to eventually evaporate, just into the background, and it was intentional. Nothing was on accident. When people say the system is broken, it's not. It works exactly the way it was designed.
Right.
And it is very smart, and it is very adaptable. It evolves faster than wokeness can spread. And it will continue to do that.
Yeah, but and what kills me even more is that it's still happening. Like, there's this thing that's being shared around Facebook right now about this school in Texas that took out all the bad parts of when the Americas were discovered and the Native Americans were got along with. Really
Oh, yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And we asked them for their land, and
they
they
said,
said, okay,
Yeah.
bye, and left willingly. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And this is being taught to children right now as we speak. Well, not now, as we speak. But, you
Well,
know,
it's just-
in this day and age.
Not even going there. Let's just talk about, what did you learn about Thanksgiving? Period.
Oh, I don't even call it, I don't call it,
What-
I call it Turkey Day, because
Well,
I don't celebrate.
I know,
Thanksgiving.
you're
Everyone
right,
else
but
does,
in
yeah.
class, and most of the kids around here, you ask them, what about Thanksgiving? Oh, the Pilgrims came over on the Mayflower, and the Plymouth Rock, and they met the Indians helped
Well,
them
yeah,
through the
that's
winter,
it.
and that's
That's
not
it.
what happened.
No,
And we know
know.
that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Happy
And-
Gluttony and Genocide Day.
That's
I
it.
mean,
But
we
that's
know
what
that
they're
they
teaching in
imprisoned
school.
we know that they imprisoned the natives. We know that they took their, I mean, we know this.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. That's what they're
but-
teaching
but that's
in
what-
schools in Texas.
That's
right
they
now.
have been. Oh, that's what they teach in every school. Every
Public.
Every
Yeah.
public school.
Every public school.
Every public school. So, and it's one of those things where you're just kind of like, you know, having a friend and having his sister come home like, so I come home and it's like, look what I learned today about Thanksgiving. And you know, she's a little kid and yeah, the Pilgrims came. And I'm like going, no, that's not true, sweetie. And she goes, yes, it is. My teacher told me so.
See, I don't know where that
it's-
is then, because Chris's school, they actually are learning the actual history of what happened.
How old is Chris?
Good.
With
How old is Chris?
16.
16.
He's a
Okay.
high school. And then that's a public
well,
school.
She's 10.
Right.
So that's
Yeah,
like,
that-
they
yeah.
learn it in elementary, so they get them young. They teach them young.
Yeah.
And then a lot of high school, a lot of middle schools, they don't even really cover it. They just don't.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
And
oh.
even
Mine did,
after,
thankfully.
after 10 years of indoctrination, having 1 year of being like, actually, it was fucked up, and then walking
Yeah.
away.
Joke's
on you.
But it's really good to just dismiss that.
Yeah.
That becomes dismissible that late in the day, like where it's just like but it comes down to like who deserves to have monuments, who deserves to have holidays,
Yep.
what do we celebrate? Like we don't. Who's going to be these faces, and how are we going to keep moving that into the future? Like it's who are our gods? Who are the American or whatever culture's gods?
I feel like
television show.
okay.
American
I was just gonna
Gods.
drop that.
No,
I was
yeah.
just gonna stop.
I knew you were about to drop that.
American Gods. Oh my God.
I think so far we've seen a good model in Germany where nobody dismisses that Nazi Germany happened,
Oh, good.
and
It's actually
they're
illegal too.
absolutely, and the kids see where the concentration camps were, and they acknowledge it as part of their
There's no
history.
statues of Hitler.
No, they
or
don't
anything
glorify
like
him,
that.
and I
Oh yeah, that's
feel
another
like
thing. It's in Germany.
Yeah.
If you're caught having Nazi memorabilia, that you can be arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, over here in America, oh, it's popular to collect it.
Mm-hmm.
Not over there. And I'm like, having a friend who's from Germany. I mean, actually, she's actually getting married to another friend. She's German. And one of the things is like, as friends, we all joke around.
Yeah.
But if you say the word Nazi, just as like, oh, he's being a grammar Nazi, she'll just don't
Yeah.
say that. I know it's
Yeah.
That's how I am with the N-word too.
the word to her is like the N-word to a black
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And it is very. It's. I don't
It's
know,
thought-provoking.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But it's. I mean, it's not even for her. Not only thought provoking. It is one of those just like I don't know how to explain it.
It's
other than-
chilling.
It's bone chilling.
Yeah.
It's,
Yes.
Bone chilling.
I,
definitely.
I often think about what it'd be like to be a Civil War reenactor on a battle where the South won.
Oh my
And just being like, all right, the South wins today, guys, and just being like, oh man! Okay, I mean, I'm still gonna go blue. I'll get bayoneted, whatever. But like, we have to do this one.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious.
No, it's like we were talking about the questions, like people approaching and asking questions, and if you don't know them, kind of thing. And there's some questions too that you just don't. I'm like, for instance, people like always come up to me and like they find out like Middle Eastern, and like, so how do you feel about the whole like peace talks? Don't ask
And you're
me
like,
that.
oh,
Yo, I don't got 35 days to explain this to you and
Yeah.
draw diagrams. Like,
But I'm like, I'm like, I've never been a part of them.
Right?
never asked me to sit at the
They
table.
didn't give me an invite. Like,
I'm still mad at Carrie. Carrie, where my invite at?
or like I've gotten the whole like, well, how do you feel about the whole Iraq war?
Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, I get that.
But I get why they're trying to.
Yeah,
But I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like, here's the thing: is do you want my honest opinion?
Yeah. That's
or
that's the
or
whole
are you
point
just
of
are you just asking just to kind of just provoke some kind of conversation with me?
Or to spew their own
or to
opinion
spew
on
their own
you.
opinion. That's the
Yeah.
Because then it usually ends up like with the peace talks, like they always get the don't get me wrong, I'm a Christian and I totally support.
Oh,
And I'm like,
God.
and then I look at it and said, well then we are going to have a different opinion.
Why do I have so many guns?
It's like for me that comes along the lines of like Brexit and everything.
Yeah.
Like I want to talk about it. I don't want it to be a situation where, no one understands what this could mean or what the reasoning behind it was. A lot of people say that, oh, it was just about trade and that's it. And like they were getting London was getting, or England was getting tired of, trying to pay for or at least support all of these other countries that were monetarily were failing. But it was, a lot of it had to do with the fact that they didn't want immigrants coming into the country anymore. And they showed it. They show it. Not showed, show it. And I have strong feelings about that. And I want to talk about it. I don't want it to be a situation where, oh, well, this could be a touchy subject, so let's not talk
If they
about
didn't
it.
want immigrants, they shouldn't have taken possession of so many countries.
No! Oh! I mean, you're not wrong, but damn!
Right out of my fucking brain.
See, that was the
I have
past.
to say,
That's not the
I think,
future. That's not what's
Palestine-
happening
Palestine?
now.
Okay, thank you.
You weren't the ones like going on safaris during the scramble for Africa.
You know? Like we've been trying to teach people about Catholicism and everything.
Or intimidating the Middle Eastern people. I mean,
Or, India.
let's talk about India.
Oh my God. No, not India, Asia.
I'm incredibly fortunate to the people who ask me questions because I
Yes.
love talking about it and I
Yes,
spend a
same.
lot of time. But I will make sure that they understand by the end.
Yeah.
And it's never a good time for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's never very few people ask me questions twice in the same day.
Yeah.
It is a question, the party's ruined, and then it starts back up again. But if you really want to do it, find a location that's appropriate. If you have a friend, ask them to meet up to talk about some shit.
Yep.
Don't spring it on me. Let me do my stretches. Let me watch. Let me
Check
wake
my
up.
sources.
Yeah, let me wake up and watch 5 episodes of Jerry so I can just see white people fucking up for a while, so that I'm emotionally prepared for where this could go. Because sometimes it goes to dark places. Sometimes I stumble upon somebody's deep-seated racism that I'm gonna have to spend hours or days or into friendship over, trying to uproot this because they didn't see it, because it is so much a part of what makes America the red, white, and blue. It is so much a part of the names of our streets, the identity of buildings, the shape of everything.
The faces of our money.
Yeah, that when you get into it, to get deep into the weeds, not just the surface stuff. Because I'll agree, when I get the surface question at a party, what do you think about the peace talks? I'm just what do you think about fucking your mom? High five. I'll dismiss them. I don't got time for the surface stuff. But if you're gonna get me deep in the weeds, buy me a cup of coffee. Warn me ahead of time. Ask me if I am ready for it, because you don't know what happened to my life that day. And if you spring some shit on me on a bad day, I will make sure to make you regret your choices. And maybe even join the Klan, and I won't regret it. I will find you on the day of reckoning, and I'll rip that hood off your head, and I'll be like, I did this to you. Ah! You can't take it back now. Twitter. Busted.
I wouldn't mind actually having a non-VOC right here at this table asking them this question, because this panel is all about representation. And I feel in my personal life, I don't get a lot of those questions from white people, because I speak white, I was raised white. They if they ever feel like they're going to approach those kinds of questions, they just take a look at my skin and they shut right up. They're just oh, right. Or even if they're gonna white people are gonna diss other white people, or black people are gonna diss other black people, and I don't really have any Puerto Rican community or anything like that to fall back on either. I kind of just go between everybody and but I have had friends and family members ask me so what's it like being the token lesbian? Or do all lesbians feel this way? Or how do you do, all of the generic questions that you get, what? All of the generic, so what are the letters today?
Because it's always changing. That's why. And I've had those topics with people.
Is it okay to say this? Is it okay to say that?
It's LGBTQRSTUV. And I'm
just shut up.
No.
I just don't want them to look at me in my eye when I eat watermelon. Don't look at me. If I'm trying to enjoy some watermelon, I stop.
It's because you feel shame.
No, it's because I like shame. I don't like getting surprise circused. If it's gonna be a spectacle, let me know. But when I'm at a buffet and I walk up and I'm looking at the fruit and I'm oh man, because I don't eat desserts most of the year. I'm oh shit, watermelon. And I have to take that look around to make sure nobody's going.
we know he's looking at
it. Take the melon.
He's grabbing the melon. It's like me with fish tacos, man.
I get it.
And probably you for hot dogs and bananas.
Yeah, me too.